This is an introduction portion of a speech that Tim will be giving to an all-state Toastmasters. The purpose of the speech is to get people interested in joining and attending all-state Toastmasters meetings, all-state the company meetings. And now, please join me in welcoming Tim. Thank you, Tim.
When you heard the title of this particular presentation, Create Your Communication Connection, you probably thought something like, Tim, I don't need a communication connection. My communication is fine. Sometimes I need to give feedback to people. Sometimes I need to do off-the-cuff speeches, but pretty much it goes pretty well. We get together in groups, we talk, or we talk one-on-one, but it's no big deal. I don't need communication help. And I get it. I really do. Because when I first started out my career, I thought the same thing. When I first started out, my career as a professional secretary. Yes, Jason, I'm the last of the professional secretaries right here in front of you, like the last Mohicans. Take a picture of anybody. They exist, but they're vanishing quickly. Years ago when I first started out, I had a communication problem I didn't realize, didn't know about. And it almost cost me my job. The thing was, I had this guy on my desk, Ted. Now, Ted was a tall guy, brown hair, kind of a little bit like Frankenstein, just a little bit scary. Sort of guy who comes into the room and kind of looms over you. You know what I'm talking about? You know somebody like that? Yeah. Whoever you're picturing, that's exactly who Ted was. So I didn't want to bother the guy. The problem was Ted went regularly to New York. He flew to New York all the time. And he'd book his flights the last moment. He'd book his hotels the last moment. And Pat, to your point last time, he'd change his hotel every week. I never knew which hotel he was going. So I never knew what hotel was going to come up. I just knew it was going to be the most popular hotel in New York. Pat's been to New York, I know, and Ken's been to New York. Anybody else ever been to New York? Yeah, pretty big, right? Pretty big place. A lot of people. If you haven't been there, it's like wall-to-wall people. So for hotels, they go just like that. If you don't book your hotels weeks, months in advance, the best ones go up like that, right? They get sold out. So this guy's booking the last moment and booking those popular hotels, and so there's no way I was going to be able to book those hotels. So week after week went by and I had to book a different hotel, not the hotel he wanted. And then one day, Ken came up. Tim, why aren't you booking my hotels? Come into my office. I got up, went into his office, he sat down. I said, now Tim, just tell me what this problem. There were a lot of things I could have said. And I knew what I needed to do. I needed to give feedback. I wasn't quite sure what the right way to approach it was. Wasn't quite sure the right way to communicate was. I just wasn't prepared for that moment. You know how that goes sometimes? People just, that communication happens, you got to answer right, and you don't know what to say. You had that happen to you? Well, that's where I was. I'm talking about Jason. So I said, sorry, Ted, I'll handle it. I'll book it. I'll book whatever you want. I'm going to book that baby. Yeah! And I walked out of that meeting thinking, there's no way in the world I'm going to be able to book those hotels. So weeks go by, and I'm not booking the hotels. And then the phone rings. Now I've got a headset phone, so I just pick up the headset, put it on. It's Julianne. Julianne is the supervisor of all the admins in my division. She says, Tim, why aren't you booking those hotels for Ted? Well, Julian, I'd like to book hotels for Ted. It's just that he doesn't give me enough time in advance. They're really popular hotels. Tim, have you told Ted this? Well, no, Julianne. It's just that Ted's kind of tall and scary. Tim, you've got a problem communicating. You've got to sort it out. There's a Toastmasters Club starting out. I strongly advise you go there and figure out how you're going to have this talk with Ted. And yes, we will talk again later. So on my first Toastmasters meeting, I was highly motivated to become a better speaker. It was really important. My job was on the line, right there. So I worked at it. And I did get better. Finally got a little bit better. Finally was able to have that feedback session I should have had in the first place. I understood a little bit more what feedback was, how to give it, what the situation was. I was more prepared for it. So I can go into Ted and say, Ted, this is the problem we're having, and work to some sort of agreement, some sort of solution. Talk more later in the program about feedback sessions and how to do those. And because of that help in Toastmasters, today I work at Deloitte. And I get every now and then little awards, little kudos, good job, great this, great that. And it all comes down to the fact that I learned to communicate way back there. So Toastmasters. And today I help anybody get from wherever they are to wherever they want to be in their professional speaking. Their speaking in general. But the problem was, I didn't know there was a problem. And it could have cost me my job. And today, in the quick changing nature of today, the changing economy, all the things that are going on, it's difficult enough just to stay in the same place, much less trying to get promoted to that next level. Raises are few and far between. And any mistakes you have, any errors you have, any communication issues you have, you're going to find out back. And most likely, when you do find out you got a communication problem, it's way too late. That's why Toastmasters is important. So you're going to learn more about the importance of communication, how to do communication the right way, so you don't fall into those traps. So today you're going to find out about the 3 phases every speech goes through. First 2 phases, and then the 3rd phase that most people don't know about or think about. It's so important. Then talk more about how to do off the cuff. What's the major problem people have with off the cuff that stops them right at the very beginning, so they don't have an effective off the cuff session? So meetings, they get blocked, can't think, how to get past that. And you'll learn how to handle a feedback session. So you don't have to face the problem I had with Ted when I just wasn't quite certain what to say or how to deal with the problem. Then you're going to find out more about Toastmasters, how Toastmasters work. But about now you might be wondering, Tim, are you just going to talk about Toastmasters all the time?
Thank you.